Welcome to the other side of normal. It's Monday night. I have got James with me from the Carolina Association of Paranormal Studies, also known as C.A.P.S. James, thank you for joining me tonight. I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
I'm going to be enjoying some. So obviously, I'm into the paranormal, but for my job, I work for a pretty big brewery here in Pittsburgh, Brewing Company, and we make Iron City beer and Iron City Light. And tonight I'm going to have an Iron City Berry, which is a brand new beer. It's a very light berry flavored light beer. So I'm going to be sipping on that tonight.
It's a good day for it.
Yeah, yeah. We've had thunderstorms all day and it's been kind of crappy, but I brought these home a week ago and haven't tried them yet. So I'm like, let's sit down and try them. So, James, you want to give us a little background on yourself and then on your team?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, my name is James. I'm the founder, lead investigator. We've been doing this for about 16 years. Started out as a group of friends wanting to go out and check out some abandoned, spooky places, and have some experiences. And about a year or two in, we realized that it's more than just a hobby. It became more of a passion to us. So we spent the next 15, 16 years specializing in certain areas in the field, more documentation than anything else. But we've done dozens of investigations. We've got hundreds of hours of evidence that we've been able to provide to different clients, and I've put together a really good team. Everybody's got jobs to do, so we kind of all work together and get it done.
That's awesome. My fish is eating something that he should not be eating. Oh, it's a black suction cup.
Yeah.
I'll have to get that out of the tank. I don't know where he got that, but he was choking on it, and I thought he was going to die. Sorry about that, but that was quite the distraction. I have some very large Oscars over here in this tank, and I don't know what the hell he was doing, and all of a sudden he spit something out, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" It was a big suction cup. Idiot. Yes, you're right, Mary. You can't see James, but you can hear him, and that's what matters. And Mary,
Yeah,
thank you for
sorry,
joining me.
we have some issues with our camera, so we're trying to invest in a new one.
And that's fine. Um, so what'd you say? 16 years, right?
16 years. Yep. Actually
Awesome.
17. And we started in 2009.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're in the Carolinas. Which Carolina would you be in?
We're in North Carolina.
You're in North
About
Carolina. Okay.
yeah, we're kind of central, not far from Raleigh.
Okay. That's good. Okay. So do you guys have like a favorite spot of yours, or do you just go everywhere?
Well, I mean, we kind of go wherever, but we have one place that we've been going to for 15 years called the True Vet Clinic in Hamptonville. We were the second team to investigate there, but we were the first to provide evidence. And every time we've been out there, we've been able to produce some kind of evidence, and we've gotten really close with the owners. We consider them like family. We do events there every year. We help out with their October tours because they do haunted tours and private investigation and stuff like that. So we donate our time with them and we take trips. So uh, they contacted us earlier in our career. So we spent a long time with them. Every bit of 15 years.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I find that a lot of teams go everywhere, there, but there's always one place that like calls to you or becomes your favorite or whatever it is. Um, and it just becomes something you have to do all the time.
Yeah.
We have a place that we go to in Ohio, and it's like it's like 4.5 hours from us. Um, but we go all the time, and it's just because we always get such good interaction there, and the place just always calls to me. I mean, I think about this place all the damn time.
Yeah, that's kind of way that the Trebek Clinic was for us for a long time. It was just like we'd like, hey, we want to do something. Where do you want to go? We'd call the owners. Hey, is anybody doing any tours tonight? They're like, no, we're open. And it's like, hey, you mind if we come out for the night? And they're like, yeah. And they come out. They unlock the gate, unlock the door for us, and say, hey, just lock up when you leave. And
That's
we've
awesome.
done that at last minute like several times over the years. Just bored and hey, let's go do this. And they're every time we go there, something happens. It's like we don't even need to bring out our equipment anymore. It's just the house basically talks to us, so it's
Yes,
kind of cool.
yes, I know that feeling very well. Our place is the Octagon House in Circleville, Ohio, and it is an 1850s octagon. There just aren't many of them left, and this place is just—it's insane. It's always active, and typically you get the same spirits all the time. Although one time recently we were there, and there was a spirit there that did not belong, and he kind of took over the night. Um, but that was a rare occurrence, and seems like he's gone because nobody's heard anything from him since. So it's interesting.
Yeah, how they come and go. Like when we first started to go to the clinic, we were asking, how many spirits are here, or whatever, and several times we got like 6 and 7 and 8. Now, 15 years later, we're looking at 16, 17 spirits in the house, and we just feel like people have attachments and they come there and their attachments end up staying, or people will bring objects that have attachments, and it's the activity's definitely increased over the years, and it's kind of cool to be able to sit back and see the progress that it's made.
Yes. So I kind of have a theory on this, and I don't have any type of scientific proof on this, but this is my theory. And I used to ask all my guests, do you think that cemeteries could be haunted? And if they said yes, then I'd ask them why, and we would have this big discussion. But I'm a firm believer that if you go somewhere, and not just if people go somewhere, right? And when you go to a cemetery, what do? You talk to your loved one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You speak to them. You're verbally, you're talking out loud, and anytime that you're talking to spirits, other spirits are going to hear you, and they're going to start to gather, right? Because in normal life, people don't walk around talking to the spirits.
You got a
If you
catwalk
walk
going
down the
on.
street, there you go.
Yep.
Thank you, Patty. Um, so it's just that if people are walking around, they don't talk to spirits. But if you go somewhere and you talk to spirits, others other spirits will hear you talking, and they're going to come, and you're going to take that group of two or three or four, and it's going to build because all these spirits that want to have some type of communication don't have anybody to communicate to, and now here you are talking, and they're going to come. And if people come there often, you're going to continue to build your numbers. Again, just my theory. I don't have any true proof of that, but it just makes total sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with that completely. You know, especially spirits who have been trying to get somebody to communicate with them, not knowing that we can't see or hear them, and then you finally have somebody that is acknowledging them or acknowledging spirits like them. It's definitely going to draw attention. And cemeteries, yeah, definitely. I think all cemeteries are haunted, and I think spirits are going to follow their body. What I don't understand is why are funeral homes and stuff like that haunted. I can
Yes.
understand. I can understand the hospital and the cemetery, but why are they stopping in the middle?
Hmm.
So it's just one of those questions that people ask, and it's like get you thinking. It's like what that's a good question.
Yes. And some people are like, oh, really? You're going to ask that question again? But you would be surprised at the number of different answers that I will get from people. No, they're not haunted. Why would they be haunted? The body was there. The soul was already gone. Um, and to me that makes sense. And I'll tell you a story here. My sister Donna is on here watching, and we went to my nephew, her son's grave, and we pulled out the spirit box and we asked questions, and we got answers that only he could answer. And when we left, we were like, wow, he's there. He's giving us answers. But we've never stopped and investigated and talked to him to listen to him anywhere else. So was he there or was he just always with us? And this is the first time we're listening.
That's a good question. It's one of those where you don't want to believe that your loved one is stuck in a cemetery, pacing the cemetery, stuck in the grave, but also you don't want to believe that they're stuck here. Period. Like,
Right.
and I feel as though they can come and visit. They come and go.
I'll
So
agree with you.
I think when you acknowledge them, and they're always watching, they're always listening. So when you acknowledge them, I think they have the choice to come and interact with us at that point.
I think that a lot of them have that choice. I also believe that there are some that are stuck here, either waiting for some type of unfinished business. Um, and those are the ones that I really feel for.
Yeah,
If they're stuck here and they can't get back, those are the ones that I really really feel for.
yeah, and we're playing with this theory. You ever seen the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman?
If I did, I don't recall it.
Okay. A question that we ask a lot in all our investigations is: are we haunting you, or are you haunting us? Because to a spirit, to them, we could be the ghost,
Yes.
and that they're going on about their day, living their normal life like they always have, and then we're interrupting that every once in a while. What we're doing is breaking through on their side. So
Mhm.
now they're hearing the random voices and the random footsteps and stuff like that. So are we the ghosts to them, or do they know that they are, you know,
That's
passed away?
really cool. I
And
like that thought. That's really cool.
yeah, we tend to throw that around a little bit to see if we can get some kind of response from it. We haven't yet, but you never know. You keep asking the same questions, eventually you're gonna get a response.
Yes, I believe so. I believe so. So I have a friend who has taken what we do in the paranormal to the extreme, and he has a degree in metaphysical science, and he believes in the multiverse, right? So there's different layers to all of this, and I too believe that there are different layers. Um, and I'll tell you why that I think there are different layers is first of all, we can't always interact with these spirits. They don't always see us. We don't always see them. Um, but also, have you ever been in a location where you're interacting with two spirits, but they don't interact with each other?
Yes.
And I think that happens most of the time. Sometimes you'll hear the conversations between them, but a lot of the times they're not interacting with each other. And I think that that's because that they are on two different planes. They don't even know each other when it's there. We can, yay for the multiverse. um, so they don't even know that the other one's there. They can hear us. Maybe they can see us. I don't know if they can see us or not all the time, but they don't see each other. And that's where I really began to take hold of the multiverse. That wow, there's so many more layers to this that we don't even understand. Um, and it's just really interesting to think that you could be in a house with five spirits and none of them could see or hear each other.
Yeah. But we've also have been able to get some audio clips where we feel as though two spirits were having a conversation with each other about
Mhm.
us. There's multiple times where you're like, I hear a male and a woman, and it sounds like they're talking back and forth, or a piece of audio that we got we didn't know at the time until we had talked to a historian later, but um, I got audio of two men arguing, and come to find out that in the past, two brothers were arguing, and one pulled out a gun and shot and killed the other one at the location that we were at.
Wow.
So, um, got the question is that intelligent? Is that just replaying that, or is that just leftover energy? Because we believe in that as well.
Yes. Oh, stone tape theory. Absolutely. I believe in that.
Oh yeah,
So, I mean, you would have to go back several times to see if the same thing replays to really get an answer, but uh, it could be any of the above.
oh yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about uh, equipment. What type of equipment do you guys have, and what's your favorite top two or top three pieces?
We we got a lot of money invested, and we got a lot of toys. Spirit boxes, REM pod, or motion detectors and thermals. But when it comes down to it, we are evidence based. If we can't prove it, it didn't happen. Your spirit boxes and your K2s and your REM pods, they may go off and interact, but you can't prove it. So we rely on our digital recorders and our DVR system. But yeah, we definitely like our digital recorders. We have one of the live EVP Zoom H4s. Um,
Hmm.
I swear that thing can read your thoughts.
Yes,
There's
they are
times
really
where
sensitive.
Yeah, there's times where we've had the headphones on and you get ready to say something and you feel as though you can hear it before it leaves your mouth. But our favorite digital recorder is I even forgot the name of it, but it's a little cheap $20 recorder.
Yes.
That is our best one, and they don't even make them anymore, so we can't even buy them. They literally made them for 1 year and then quit making them. Um, but we just got a tracer lights, which we're still trying to figure them out. Those are actually kind of cool, with little REM pods on them.
Mhm.
Yeah, we spent a total of every bit of $10,000 over the years, and most of it's just toys, like those
I,
cat balls
I'm
behind you. We like them and we use them, but if that's all that happens, I can't present that to a client. That's You can't prove that was a spirit that moved that, even though kind of seems like it was, and it interacts with you, but you can't prove it. So it's just it's a cool little toy to play with.
so I tell you that this doll back here, Samantha, I had just gotten her, And the guy I was just telling you about with the degrees, Dr. Jay Blackburn was on a podcast with me with a couple other guys, and I can't even remember what exactly we were talking about, but I have the videos posted on our Facebook page. Every time somebody stated something that was factual, that cat ball lit up, and it did this for like well, we were on for almost 2 hours, and it did it for most of the night. If I said, this can is white, that cat ball went off, and it was just insane the amount of times that she was just giving us, "Yep, you're right. Yep, you're right. Yes, I agree with you." And none of the other ones were going up. It was just one of those things. Um, and like I said, there's no reason for it. This is a block wall that's underground, and I could hit it with a sledgehammer, and it probably wouldn't even light one of the lights. Um, so I mean, that to me that's cool. But you're right. I can't say that 100%. This is evidence that the paranormal exists.
Yeah, like last week we did an investigation at a place called Smoking Oak. It's like a cigar lounge. You know, they do alcohol, cigars, kind of like a little chill spot. And
There you go.
on the upstairs tables, they have like a deck of cards and poker chips. So we were like, oh, we're going to set up a poker game. And we did, you know, the different hands and stuff like that, from the highest hand you can get all the way down to nothing throughout some poker chips, like a real game. We set cat balls up at each hand and in the pot. And at one point, you know, I told the spirits that they can go and sit down at whatever hand they want. All cards were facing up, so you can see it. One cat ball kept going off, and it just happened to be the highest hand, the winning hand. And it was just that one ball. And I was like, okay, well, you know, you can take the pot. The money in the middle is yours. Trying to see if the middle one would go off, and it never did. But just a weird coincidence that the highest hand out of five cat balls, the highest winning hand was the only one that went off. So that's kind of cool, but again, it's not evidence. And
Right.
you know, I explained that to the client that was there that night with us that it's cool, but you're not going to get a recording of that because
Now, if you had uh, some type of verbal recording to back it up, that could be helpful. Like if you had a recorder sitting there, and you got captured an actual EVP of, you know, saying full house or straight or four of a kind. That you could definitely compile them together with.
oh yeah, that's what we call a chain of events. You put all that
Yes.
together, yeah. And we did have a recorder in the middle of the table, right by the pot. You know, in case some of the chips moved or some of the cards shuffled, we'd have the Zoom H4 sitting right there, so it would hear it, and we we didn't catch anything. But yeah, I totally agree. You give me more than just that cat ball,
Yeah.
I'll put all that together, and you know, I can present that as evidence. You know, even if the
Absolutely.
cat ball in the middle went off after I had said it,
Yes.
I would, you know, not be like, hey, this I can't say this is paranormal, but this is a coincidence, and I'm gonna show it to you just because that just doesn't happen randomly.
It's not may not be paranormal, but it's definitely not normal.
Exactly, exactly. It's enough to, you know, let you see and explain to you that, you know, hey, this is what happened. Take it for what it is.
So the hook I used to get you on this podcast was debunking. Um, and here's why I threw this out there was I went through Facebook one day, and I saw all these posts about what people thought were paranormal. this happened, and I captured a ghost on my camera. I took a picture of a ghost, and this video, this is clearly a ghost, and all these things. And I was just like, don't anybody debunk anymore. Everybody is so quick to say this is paranormal. There's very few things that we can say 100% paranormal. But man, people throw the word around like it's an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that if you spend a little time trying to debunk, a lot of times you can prove that it's not what you think it is. Um, and there are definitely times that you can't prove it, right? Or you can't debunk it, and then that's just here. This is something to look at. But I don't think that the boom in the paranormal in the last 5 to 7 years has brought all kinds of people in, and they're all in for different reasons, right? Some think they're going to become Zach Bagans, right? They're going to be the next TV star. Some think that they're going to get rich off of social media. Some think they're going to get a TV show. I don't know what all the reasons are, but a lot of these people aren't in it to really prove what's going on. They're not in it because they like history and these buildings and the history that comes with it, and they're not in it that they because they give a damn about the spirits. Um, and I just don't think they spend the time to try to disprove anything. And I think if you're not trying to disprove, you're doing yourself a very big disservice.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is people are just so desperate for activity that they'll take every little thing and, oh my god, this happened, this happened, this happened. When it's like, no, we've had people email us pictures and video and audio, and then as soon as we heard it, we're like, yeah, no, no, because debunking is so important. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to present something as evidence and then have it knocked down immediately. Where it's like, oh, you know what? Let me post this. This is a voice that I got, and if somebody says, you know what, that sounds like water dripping, because the more you do this, you realize that sounds are going to happen,
Yes.
and you can take one little sound and make it out to be whatever you want.
Yep.
Dripping water can sound like people talking. The wind blowing,
Paranoia, right?
the wind blowing could sound like footsteps. Like, you got to really take your time, and that's why after every investigation we spend 40, 50 hours going through everything. And one thing that I stress to all of my team members is question everything, because if you know there's any doubt, oh, we toss it out. We don't even spend time. Well, it could be this, it could be that. No, we're it's if we're 50-50, it's not worth it.
Yep. Yep. And I think that as far as our team goes, and there's really only 3 or 4 of us on our team now, but if we put out something that's evidence related, we really, really, really believe in it. And we don't put out stuff very often, right? We'll say, we went to this place, we had a great investigation, but if we didn't have anything that is rock solid, we don't even put it out. I gotta have something that I can say without a doubt, this is what we got. And we caught a shadow person one time on camera, and it's out there for the world to see. And that to me was a big deal that we caught this shadow person. Um, but very few times have we screamed, "Oh, look what we caught! Look what we've caught!" Um, we have a very good Class A EVP that we caught. That this young child was coming along with us, and just all of a sudden in the video we hear "Let's play." Holy crap, that was cool. Okay, um, but in all these investigations that we've done, we have a handful of things that we will even put out. It's
Yeah,
got to be really good.
we have a lot, and most investigations we tend to get something, and it's all audio. We got. I'm not going to call it a shadow person, but we definitely got a figure in one of our cameras, and one of our friends did some editing to it to the make it easier to see, bringing out the light, zooming in, kind of done some visual things to it to kind of really show what it is, and it's definitely something that it's not human. It's not one investigator, so um, that was probably one of our few, our best. I'll put it as our best piece of visual evidence. Audio's a little bit different. I know when we catch a good piece of audio that it's legit, 100%.
Yeah.
I can't prove it to you guys without going back and showing you the 8 DVR cameras that in that room where there was that woman's voice. There was just me.
Right.
Like, I can't prove that to you, but when we present that to the client, we say, hey, this is what happens, and they're taking our word for it.
Hmm.
Um, but we definitely go through and double check everything. Like I just spent the last 3 days going over video just to double check, footsteps and little sounds from, coming from another room. Just find out that it's one of us moving around. So, it's a process that you got to, being an investigator, you have to take those steps into providing real evidence.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So let's talk um, about a bucket list. Do you have a bucket list of places that you desire to go, whether you'll get there or not? If you could go anywhere, what would be the your top places?
Well, oh man, I've got quite a few. You know, most people in the field like, oh, we'd love to go to Waverly and Trans Allegheny. We've been there. Waverly Hills was our first group trip that we took. Loved it, absolutely loved it. As of right now, I'm gonna say number one on my bucket list would probably have to be Alcatraz.
Mm.
It's I think Alcatraz is I'm saying underrated. People just don't realize how active that place is because they're not allowing people to spend the amount of time in there like West Virginia State Penitentiary or Ohio or some of these other penitentiaries. They're not, they're allowing groups to come spend a night. Alcatraz, they're just doing a day tour, stuff like that. So then also you've got places like Transylvania and like some of these castles. But I think as of right now, to be real, I think Alcatraz would be at the top of my list right now.
That is definitely a cool place that I would love to go to. Um, and I always say like the old Washoe Club in Virginia City is one of the places that I want to go to very badly. Um, I would love to go to the old Bram Inn across the pond. Um, uh, the Stanley Hotel. I would
Oh
love to
yeah,
go to,
Stanley's got to be on the list.
and it's almost impossible because I mean it's a working hotel and you could probably go rent one or two rooms, but that's all you're going to get unless you've got the money to rent the entire place out.
Oh yeah,
You're not going to get the full extent of it.
yeah,
The Sarah Winchester House is another one that I would love to do.
yeah. That I actually forgot about that one. That one would definitely be on my list. And I'd love to investigate it, but at the same time, I would just
Just
love to just walk around it.
just walk through it.
Just leave me alone and let me just get lost in that place. That's you know
and,
that would definitely be on my list.
and for me, I would get lost in about 10 minutes, and it'd probably take me 3 days to get back. But that would be
Oh,
fine as long
dude,
as
the
I can
best
find a
3 days.
bathroom and some water.
Nice.
Uh, um, so let's talk about the. Have you ever had a moment that you're like, I've got to get out of this place?
No, and here's my problem. I'm I'm very cocky. I've never had the feeling of the creepy feeling, or you walk into a room and things just don't feel right, or I know how people say, hey, they get these weird feelings when they have their backs to open doorways. I don't get those feelings at all. I walk in there and stone cold, whatever. There was one location that we did, and it was a private residence, so I can't give up too many details about it. But I went in there and I was telling the homeowner same thing. I don't get affected. I don't have these feelings. I'm always on guard. And something affected me that night. Put me in a really bad mood. I was throwing things around and cussing and just yelling and just mad. But in my head, I didn't feel as though that's what I was doing. I thought I was irritated, but I was calm and whatever. To the point where one of my investigators had asked me to step out of the house. I stepped out and I just felt like a weight get lifted off my shoulders. Just as soon as I walked away from the house, everything just kind of calmed down to the point where I wasn't sure if I wanted to come back in after that. And I think that was just a location humbling me in a way, being like, "Oh, you don't get affected, and you're Mister Tough Guy. Well, here, try this," and it got me. So ever since then, I keep my guard up because I don't care who you are. If the location wants to affect you, it's going to.
It's going to.
But no,
So I'm
I haven't been in a position or a location that I felt as though I needed to leave. Um, I'm waiting for it. I just done one, investigation by myself, trying to test that to see if, me being completely by myself, 100% by myself, is it going to change my attitude and investigation? And it didn't. I felt the same way as I did if my entire team was there. So I'm waiting on the day where something really forces me out.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm former military. I lived through a war. I've been shot at. I've shot and ended other people's lives. Um, my best friend died in my arms. I've been through some scary shit in my life, and there has not been one paranormal thing that has shaken me that I've got to leave. Um, that's what I want. I want something to make me say I got to get out of this place, um, or even just to frighten me enough to say, "Wow, that was insane." Um, but I also think that the spirits are smart enough to know that that's what you want, and they really aren't wanting to give that to you
Yeah,
for whatever
yeah,
reason, right? Um, and I would never go in and antagonize a spirit to get that. If I get it, I'm going to get it honestly. Um, but that's what I strive for. Now, I can tell you that I saw something that scared the hell out of other people, and they were totally fight or flight, and I understood it. Um, Deborah, who is on my team, we were at the Ohio State Reformatory, and her and another girl were sitting in this row of theater seats that were not bolted to the floor. And we started hearing noises around the room. So I kind of got up and was like scanning the room just to see what's going on. And all of a sudden we heard this sound, and it sounded like total commotion. Something ran up behind them, hit the back of this row of chairs, and pushed them both to a standing position.
Oh wow.
And they both freaked out. And I get it, because I think if I'm 6'2" and 320 pounds. If you pushed me up to a standing position, I think that would freak me out. So I watched these two ladies have that moment that I want to have, and I was there with them, and yeah, my heart started beating. It started pounding. I'm like, that was freaking wild. But it didn't happen to me.
Yeah. I did have a incident that it didn't scare me, but it put me on guard. We were at the Trebek Clinic, and I was doing a tour, so we were down in the basement, and I had like 15 people down there, and I was standing by the stairs, and across the basement floor, about say roughly 20-25 feet away, pitch black. I watched somebody stand up, and if you were to watch a person go from a seated position to a standing position, people lean forward, put their arms down on the armrest, and kind of stand up, lean forward and stand up. Well, I seen that, and then they turn towards me. I can see the head, the shoulders, the separation in the arm between the arm and the body. It was a person, and they turned and they faced me, and they went from 25 feet away to in my face in a matter of a fraction of a second, just quick. I felt it. Like I felt the energy. So, me being a guy, I'm going to get really defensive. So I took a step back, almost like, I'm ready to fight somebody, for running up on me. And so I turn on my flashlight, and the closest person to me is a kid sitting about 10 feet away, sitting on the floor. So there was nothing in between me and him, but I watched it cover at least 20 feet faster than any person could ever move and not make a sound.
It's wild.
Yeah, and it didn't scare me, but it put me on guard. Like, okay,
Yes.
it just rushed me. Never happened again. So I don't know if that was a test to see if they can get me to run out, or see what kind of reaction they can get out of me. And I guess I didn't give them the reaction they were hoping for. So yeah, kind of intense, but
Yeah. So my friend Anna Mae just says that Sarah Winchester's birthday was June 4th. That also
oh,
happens to be my birthday.
oh wow,
So there's my connection to Sarah Winchester.
that's
Now
actually kind of cool.
I'm gonna have to go do a deep dive and find out what else I have in common with good old Sarah Winchester.
Would it be cool to go and do the investigation on y'all's birthday?
Yes, yes, that would be way cool. She was born in 1839. Wow, that's a long time ago. We don't have that. I mean, I'm closing in on 60, but not that old yet. That's wild. See, people will tell you all kinds of stuff on these podcasts. That's great. That's good information to know. Now I know where I need to go for my birthday one year. I just watched a show. I think it was last night. That this group was doing an investigation at a place on the date of the anniversary of the main person that was murdered in that building. And I think that was really cool. I can't speak to the evidence they got. I don't know. I can't say it's a show, so I can't say that it's all legit or not legit. But
Yeah.
um, I think it would be cool to know enough history to say, on this date, this is what happened. Um, and you go there on that date just to see what you could get, because I think that there's a good probability that something's going to happen on that date.
Funny thing about that is, I don't remember the exact day. It was mid 1800s, August 27th, in Statesville, which is about 20-30 minutes away from where I live. There was a train accident, train derailed, killed a bunch of people. A couple years after we started our group, on August 27th, a group went out to the train tracks and were investigating. On the anniversary, one or two of them ended up getting hit by a train and dying that night.
Whoa.
The very next day, I was getting phone calls because they thought it was me, because the headline was just paranormal investigator killed, and train
Wow.
accident, whatever. August 27th is my birthday. The
Huh.
following year, me and two of my friends actually went out to the train tracks where all that happened on the anniversary, on my birthday. Nothing happened. Like, we didn't have any activity or whatever, but we also didn't go walk across the bridge neither. Because once you get about halfway across that bridge, by the time the train comes around the corner, you don't have enough time to get out of the way. There's
Yeah, no,
nowhere.
yeah, no, that's dumb. That's
Yeah, and that's
dumb.
how that group, the investigators got hit.
Uh,
They were in the middle and could not get off the track fast enough.
no shade to them, and I'm sorry that that happened to them, but you have to put yourself in a lot better positions than something like that. I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, safety first. No matter
Yes.
what, the evidence isn't worth
No,
what could happen. So
no, no, not at all. That's terrible. No, you've got to be safe doing this. And I look at people that break into these buildings, whether there is an abandoned building or it's just, for instance, one of our local places here, Hillview Manor, was just broken into by three people who just walked around and thought they were investigating, but buy a ticket. You know, you don't know the building, you don't know anything about it. You're walking through this building, you fall through a floor, over a railing, you're dead.
yeah,
Don't go into places you're not supposed to go into. I mean, it's just you're asking for trouble. Or
yeah,
you go into the wrong building and they've got attack dogs or somebody with a gun. I mean, no, don't be in places that you shouldn't be. Use your
yeah.
head and be smart about it.
Exactly. I mean, these buildings are abandoned for a reason, and we all know abandoned buildings are not maintained. So yes, the wood is weak, and some of the floors might not even be there, and you're walking around in the middle of the night with no flashlight, trying to hide. You're gonna step out on something and not know if there's a floor there or not, or an elevator shaft.
Yep.
I've heard stories about that. People just not paying attention and walking straight into an empty elevator shaft and falling three,
Yep.
4 stories.
Yep. That's for sure. That's for sure. So let's see. Trying to think of any good ones I've got left. I'm still blown away by the whole Sarah Winchester thing.
You just gotta love random facts like that.
Yeah, I mean that's just, and I mean you're going to have to tell me at some point how, what even made you look that up? That's crazy. I love it, but it's just odd that you would randomly look that up unless it's something you knew, and a lot of people know useless facts, so maybe she just knew it.
So I got a question for you. How long
Yeah.
you been doing this?
Um. So I grew up in houses that were haunted most of my life. Uh, so I don't want to, I wasn't actually investigating, but I knew what I lived with, and maybe I just kind of like took it for granted all those years. But I didn't start investigating till I would say 2022 or 2023.
Okay.
Um, with that said, we've averaged, well, last year we did 44 investigations. This year we're doing 33 investigations. I mean, we go a lot. So I have a lot more practical application than years actual investigating. So it's probably in time wise a little bit longer than what it really is, but um, no, I've always thought about it and was just never motivated to do anything about it. And then uh, a friend of mine had a team, and I talked to him, and he's like, "Hey, if you want to join up with us," and so I did. And then I realized that they just didn't do any investigations, one a year, and that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm like, well, it's time to start my own team, and we took some classes, the para learning classes. I believe there's 8 of them to get a little bit more knowledge, and just kind of dug in with both feet and started running with it.
Nice. Yeah, I growing up, I never had an experience. Most investigators are say, "Oh, well, I grew up in a haunted house," or I was tormented as a kid, and I had all these experiences. I never had any of that until I was already a seasoned investigator. So I've always just believed, and I didn't have any training. I didn't have any knowledge of investigating when we started our group, and just like you, we jumped right in, and I learned on the go in the field.
Yeah, yeah,
And I once we got established and we consider ourselves professionals, um, we developed a standard, and we I won't tolerate anything less than that, because I spent the last 17 years, 16, 17 years building a reputation, and you know I like things done a certain way, and it took me a long time to get it that way. So we've got a really good reputation. We're doing a lot for the city of Lexington. We've done probably 7 or 8 investigations in the last year or so, and more to come. Trying to start like a ghost walk for them. So um, and it's just one of those things. Education is always good. You can go to school, you can learn, be book smart, but until you spend 10, 15 years in that field, I
you've got
think,
to have practical applications.
yep, I think that trumps your book smarts, because
Yeah,
you may have the knowledge to do it, but can you physically do it? Can you go out there and apply what you learned in the field? And you know, when we came into this field, it was like all we knew was what we seen on TV, and it took probably a good 5 years for us to be like, okay, well, we can't do that anymore. That's not working. That is all entertainment purposes.
yeah.
Um, so we started dialing back down, and okay, we need to really focus on this area and this audio, and how are we going to do this, video, and spent, good majority of our career providing the best evidence that we could with what we had to work with.
So as a kid, um, my grandparents had a very old farmhouse, and to say that it was haunted, I don't believe that it was just an overall haunting. I think it was something that I can't explain what it was. But if my sister, who is on here, if she didn't come home that night, if she stayed at somebody else's house or whatever reason she didn't come home, she had this little. I want to say it was an octagon shaped light, but it had way more sides than an octagon. It was brown and white. I can see it clear as day in my face. That light would come on in the middle of the night when she should have been home. And it happened every time she wasn't home. And it didn't come on by itself any other time. Um, there was a time that I had this, it was an old house. So you needed door stops, right? Things that would keep your door from closing. And in my little room, there was looked like a bowling ball, but it had a flat bottom that sat in front of my door. And one day I watched this door close, pushing that bowling ball. And there is no way the wind blew that because it was several pounds. It's things like that that I saw. It was never anything bad. It was never anything in your face. It was just those type of things. Well, then later, I ended up living with my brother and sister-in-law and their kids, and their son was the same age as me. We're 2 years apart. I'm a little bit older than he is. My brother was much older than me. And we always had stuff happening. Our room was upstairs. We always had stuff happen up there. One day, my nephew was not feeling well. He had a cold. We're sitting there playing video games. This is early 80s, 81, 82. And the TV was directly across from us. And next to it was a clothes hamper that was filled with clean clothes. And there was some clothes folded on top of it. And then to the right of the clothes hamper was the garbage can. Well, Craig blew his nose in this Kleenex, wadded it up, and threw it at the garbage can, and he missed badly. It landed in the center of the clothes basket, laundry basket, on top of those clothes. And we just continued to play our video games. And at one point, that piece of Kleenex raised up, moved to the right, and dropped into the garbage can.
Oh wow!
There is no wind in this world. Also, this is wintertime, so there's no windows open. There's no wind in this world that's going to make it do that. And then the other big thing that happened there was, well, there was a couple of things, but the biggest thing was, uh, as young adults, we tend to get mouthy with our parents, and Craig said something to his mother that he shouldn't have said. And back in that day, you could smack your kids a little bit and get away with it. Well, he got a backhand across the face, and then she pushed him against the wall, and she said, "Don't you ever," and she was pointing her finger at his face, "don't you ever do that again." And with that, we were in the kitchen. All the kitchen cabinets came open, and everything come out of every kitchen cabinet.
Oh wow!
She turned pale white and left the house because she was convinced that he did that. He's like, "Mom, I would not do that. Even if I could, I would not do that." So I mean, we were dealing with something that was strong enough to empty all the cabinets in the kitchen. That was no freaking joke. So I mean, I've had plenty of exposure to things like this, and it was always just, I don't know, I kind of felt like it was natural, that it was supposed to happen, and I didn't really ever think that other people didn't have this, because we never talked about, oh, we have a ghost, because we just thought everybody had shit like this had happened, and it it didn't happen to anybody that we knew, really.
Well, back then it wasn't talked about. Where
No.
now it's there's so many different groups and TV shows and movies, and like it's not becoming so much paranormal anymore as it is just becoming normal.
Yes.
So yeah, you figure 40 years ago, no, nobody wanted to talk about it.
Mm-mm. Nope. Nope. And we had, like I said, we had a lot of occurrences. And I tell you that one day my nephew came home from school. I must have been in the senior high when he was in the middle school. And he came home with his book and he bought it because of a joke at the book fair. And the book was called A Ghost Named Fred. And our routine was we came home from school, we put our books on the steps that went upstairs to our bedroom. And then we'd go change our clothes and we'd go outside and we'd play football or baseball or whatever we were doing that day. And so that's what we did. And when we came back in, all of our books were there except for this book called A Ghost Named Fred. And it was 2 years before we found this book. And it was stashed in the closet upstairs in our room that nobody ever went in. So as we were cleaning it out one day, we found this book and we're like, there's nobody goes in there. How did this get in there? And that's when we started calling our ghost Fred.
Nice.
But we were the only two that ever went upstairs. His mom and dad did not go upstairs. His sisters were babies. They couldn't even walk. So they weren't going upstairs. They couldn't reach the steps to get the book. And they certainly couldn't have opened the closet doors because it was like the closet, like the ceilings were sloped. So the closets were behind the short wall, back there. And it was just a storage cabinet. It wasn't even like we didn't put clothes or anything in there.
Yeah.
And for it to end up in there was just totally off the wall. And like I said, it was like 2 years before we found the damn book.
That's crazy.
But
You
yeah,
hear
we always had
stories
stuff
about
like
that
that
all
happen.
the
And we talk about that all the time. And he's like, I can't believe you do this now. And I'm like, we lived it all of our lives. So, I don't know why and we would always talk to Fred. We never heard him answer, and he never really gave us any definitive answers, but we probably weren't really listening, right? Because as a kid, you don't have any idea what the hell you're doing. We just
time.
talked to him like he was the boy next door visiting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had all kinds of stuff that happened last night. Well, so this doll and this doll we just got on Saturday, and we brought them home and broke the spirit box out and talked to them and asked them their names and tried to communicate with them. This guy told me his name was James. Now my name is James,
Yeah. So it's
so
mine.
I thought, and your name is James, right? And so I just thought they were repeating my name, and I kept asking him what his name was, and he kept saying James. So okay, your name's James. This one up here, when I turned the spirit box on, the before he even said a word, I just turned it on. The first word is nacho, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I've got it sitting over there on the other side of the room on a table, and there's a cat ball there, and the next word is ball, and then that damn ball lights up, and I'm like, okay, this is a little too odd. And then I hear baby, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you're a baby. So I'm like, I'm gonna record this. So shut the spirit box off, got my camera out, blah blah blah, and never had anything like that again. But she told me 6 or 7 times, baby. So that's her name now is baby. I brought her back over here, put her up on the shelf, and they all have a cat ball. Her cat ball went off probably 10 to 12 times in a few minutes, 5 minutes maybe. And I'm like, that's really weird. So I come over and I said, I want to try a test. I'd like to take your cat ball and give it to somebody else and give you a different cat ball. I just want to make sure the cat ball isn't malfunctioning, right? I swapped those cat balls and they never went off again the rest of the night. I swapped them back at the end of the night, and I'm like, I hope I didn't make anybody angry. I just wanted to prove that there wasn't something wrong with the cat ball. And that cat ball has never gone off again since.
That's crazy.
But I wanted to prove to myself that there wasn't something wrong with the cat ball. The battery was dying, whatever. I mean, and it still lights up, but I guess I made somebody mad.
Yeah, we haven't really figured out how exactly the cat balls work. If they sit a certain way, are they more likely to go off than if they're sitting straight up? How is the sensor in there attached? Does it need to be with the button facing up to be more sturdy? We hadn't really played with them enough to really figure them out, but I'm gonna tell you, there are some that are extremely hard to make go off. Like you would almost have to like kick it. Vibration won't set it off, nothing like that. But we have some that if you look at it hard enough, it'll go off. So I think the clear ones are better. I think they take more to set them off than like the colored ones because all of our clear ones, you really have to physically touch them. Our yellow and our blue ones, just a small little vibration and they go off. So I definitely
Most of these,
prefer clear ones.
I set them all exactly the same way, but most of them I can pick them up, and it was halfway over here before it even started lighting. So I mean, I can move these a little bit, and they don't go off. They're not super sensitive, but I set them all up the exact same way. They're all facing with the little button up, and that's
Yeah,
also because it's easier to turn them all off at the end of the night. But they're not super sensitive. I can pick them up and a little bit and move them around, and they don't always light up. So I think that they're pretty. They're not overly sensitive.
okay. And it looks like they're all the clear ones too.
Well, there is one that's not clear. Oh, it's her right here. And this is, I forgot what it's called, the Dragon's Eye or something. It
Oh,
is actually a rechargeable cat ball, right? It's half of it's red and the front of it's clear.
okay.
But it's not overly sensitive either. Now the button on this is completely recessed, so it doesn't even like stick out. So you have to push your finger down in there.
Yeah.
Um, but it seems to be pretty solid, and the battery lasts for pretty much forever. If we go on an investigation, I usually take all the cat balls with me, so I'll charge it the night before, and then when we bring it back, it just sits up here until we go again.
Nice. Yeah, I don't like the fact that you can't change the batteries in them. Like once they're done,
Yeah,
they're done. I mean, they're cheap. I think
yeah.
you can get like a 4 pack for like I don't know, like a couple bucks. But I hate the fact that you can't just open them up and change batteries
Yeah.
because the
But the batteries
rechargeable
cost
ones
more.
definitely cost a little bit more.
Yeah, that was I think it was like $20 for that rechargeable. But if you never buy another one, okay. But for
Yeah,
$20, I can get like 24 of them.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know which is better, but I saw it and I thought I would try it, and it's all right. I mean, I'm sure I'll get $20 worth of use out of it over its lifetime as long as it continues to recharge.
No, yeah, yeah, definitely.
But we have a lot of fun with them. Now, typically when I'm done with the podcast, I'll shut them off, and that's been a couple of months now. I whatever reason I didn't shut them off this night, and the next day I went to work, and Deborah sends me a text message with this video on it, and all the cat balls. We only had 4 dolls at that time. All 4 cat balls are just flashing, and she's sitting across the room filming this, and she's like, "You forgot to turn the cat balls off, and now I'm just a little freaked out." I'm like, "Well, just go shut them off." She's like, "You see all those cat balls going off? I'm not going over there." She went upstairs for the rest of the day until I came home and shut the cat balls off. It kind of freaked her out.
Well, it's one of those where if you're not expecting it, it's going to kind of throw you
Yeah,
off some.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, also, you know, we've been to places that she would just refuse to sleep in the place, and so she'd go sleep in the car. I think it's more dangerous to sleep in a car than it is to sleep in the house, but whatever. One night she was going to go sleep in the car, and then she realized that the car was actually parked in a cemetery, so she kind of changed her mind and stayed in the house. It was actually a church, not a house, but when the alternative is sleeping in the middle of a cemetery, the scary church wins. So let's see. We covered places. So is there anything that you guys do that you think is something that most other investigators don't do? Something odd,
I
something
mean, other
different?
than uh, no, I mean we're pretty standard. I mean, obviously the debunking thing, we talked about that where groups
Hmm.
just don't do that. But we pretty much are textbook. Um,
Okay.
we rely on our audio and camera. I mean, we'll bring the toys, but we we don't use them like as often as like the TV shows stuff like that. But investigating style, it's very generic because it produces results. You go in there with respect, treat the spirit with respect, you're going to get it in return. And that is one thing that one of the standards I was telling you about is we have a motto: you respect the owner, the spirits, and the property.
Yes.
Um, don't go in there and agitate anybody because at the end of the night we get to go home.
Yes.
There's business owners and customers and homeowners that have to deal with it afterwards. So, we just respect is the biggest thing.
Yes.
And a lot of groups, I know do the same. But on the other side of that, there's some groups that go in there and just act a fool and don't care about the repercussions of it.
They've watched too many Zach Bagans shows.
Exactly. And, I'm not gonna lie. I watch the shows. I find them entertaining.
Yeah.
Investigating styles, yeah, no. I like their equipment. I
Yes.
like some of the stuff and some of the styles that they do, but it's not my type of investigating.
No, and I think we can all be honest about this. I mean, without Zach Bagans, no matter what you think of him, this community isn't anywhere near what it is today,
Yeah.
right? I mean, right or wrong, he's brought a lot to the paranormal.
Well, yeah, exactly.
You
I
know,
agree.
much like the Warrens before him, he brought a lot to the paranormal. And love him or hate him, he's got to get credit for it. And I think he started off okay, and then he decided he could make a lot of money by entertaining. And look, if you can make a lot of money doing it, you do your thing, man. But you also have to realize that people are going to follow your footsteps, and there are people out there that everywhere they go, there's a demon. Everywhere they go, they want to yell and scream, and they want to, antagonize these spirits, and that's just not cool. It's just not cool.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Uh,
one of those where it's entertaining and it's if that's what Discovery Channel wants, then that's how they're going to make their money. But in real life, in a real situation, when you have clients that you're investigating for, that's not a good look.
no, it's not.
That doesn't make them feel comfortable when you're, you know, getting possessed every 5 minutes and you're screaming demon and this and you know reality is, a real investigation is, it's kind of boring.
Yep. Yeah, it is. So I asked you if there was anything odd that you did, and the reason for my question is there's two things that I do that I don't think most people do. First of all, 2026 is the year of the collaboration for us. Um, I have scheduled one investigation this year for our team. Everything else has been scheduled by another team, and we're going with them. And so I'm learning different things that other people do with the same equipment, or just a different technique, and I like that about collaborating. I'm also choosy about who I collaborate with. I want to make sure that they're the same type of people that we are, with the same beliefs. Um, and that's all fun and good, but there's a couple things that I do that I haven't seen anybody else do. And one thing is, typically when we go to a place, before the team comes in, I walk through the place. I talk to them. This is my name. This is why I'm here. Um, I'm asking your permission to come in and investigate and to talk to you and communicate with you and to film and to record, the whole 9 yards. But at the end of it, I'll say, I would like to give you a word tonight. And if at any point in the time tonight you could say this word back to me, I would really appreciate it. Now, I've done it probably close to 100 times, and only once have I gotten a response. And when I did get the response, we were doing a double Estes, and I was under, and I had another guy that was down on the first floor that was under. And my word was Verona. That's the town we live in, Verona, Pennsylvania. We're the Verona Ghost Chasers. Okay, there's no way the word Verona comes up in any conversation. It just doesn't. And so I'm sitting there listening to the spirit box, and I'm, giving all the words out. And all of a sudden, and I was actually using the SB box that records. So I have it on recording that it said this, but it said Verona. I whipped my headset off. I yanked my blindfold off, and I'm like, I can't believe it. They just said my word. They said Verona. Now, my buddy was still under in the Estes and still down there giving answers. And what comes out of his mouth is, right after I said that, there, I said it. Holy shit. If that wasn't confirmation,
That's crazy.
so that's one of the weird things I do. And like I said, I've only ever had the answer once. Now, another time, and I used to write it on a piece of paper before the investigation. And if we were staying in a hotel room, I would put it in the nightstand as we left, and I'd be the last one out the door, so nobody looks at it, right? And now, as I'm doing a walkthrough, I'll have a camera, and I'll look at the camera and say, "This is my word tonight." Um, but this particular night, I wrote it on a piece of paper, and I left it in the nightstand, and I was the last person out, so nobody looked at it. And went through the whole night, and I never heard the word. And as we're packing up, I looked up at Deborah, and I said, "Well, that's kind of disappointing. I didn't hear my word tonight." And she looked up at me and she said, "What, green? No, blue?" And I looked at her and I said, "What?" And she's like, "I don't know where that came from. It just popped into my head." Well, my word was blue.
Oh wow.
And she does not claim to be a psychic or have any, she's a sensitive, but this isn't something that ever happens, right? And I'm like, where the hell did that come from? But somebody put it in her head. And
That's
it could have just been a total coincidence, but I had never used a color previously or after that night. So where she came up with it, I don't know, but it's pretty wild.
that is. That's that's interesting. You know,
The other
it
thing
could
that
have
I
been
do,
a coincidence, but
it's a really odd one. Yes.
it is.
And
Yeah.
again, I'm not claiming any type of paranormal, but boy, is it odd, right? The other thing that I do, and so we were going to this one house in like a week. I started having dreams about the house every night, and somebody, and I have no idea who it was, kept coming to me every night and give me one word: "We are waiting for you." And I'm like, this is just weird because I don't have dreams. I don't, not like that. Um, and so I'm kind of on edge about going to this place, right? I'm like, this is just weird. And so the day of the investigation, I just sitting down here making sure, going through my checklist in my head that I've got everything ready and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I'm going to go grab the spirit box and I'm going to grab my headset. And I just sat down and all I did was meditate on the place. I didn't ask any questions either in my head or out loud, and I just listened. And I started taking down words that I heard. No matter what the word, I just took it down. And I kept getting this name, and the name was Molly. And I wrote Molly probably 10 times on this list. I still have the list on my phone. And every time I would say Molly, it would say something like no, or I'd say Molly and say, that's not my name. Um, I'd say Molly, I'd say, try again, something. And this went on and on. Well, at the end of it, I said Molly again, and it says no, hot, heavy, hard. And then it said the name again, and I'm like, hot, heavy, hard, Molly. I'm just going along. And then it was like, done, goodbye. And that was the end. So we went to the house, and I pull up this list of words, and I'm like, do any of these words mean anything to you? And the lady that was there at the house was not the owner. The owner couldn't make it that night, and she was like, I think she was a sister or a sister-in-law. I can't remember exactly. I think it was her sister. And she's like, well, that's the owner's kind of the owner's mom's name, but her name was Holly. Well, then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Hot, heavy, hard. Those all starts with an H. And it's literally telling me, not my name, not my name. You're an idiot. Stop saying Molly. And they were saying Holly. And
Oh yeah.
I just couldn't hear it. And that just totally blew my mind that something like that could happen. And I do no research on houses that we go to. This is the first time we were ever at that place. I did no research. I didn't know anything about it other than everybody said it was cool. So that started me off pretty much anywhere we go now. I sit down and I meditate on it and I just listen to the spirit box. Sometimes I write the words out. Sometimes Deborah will write the words out for me. Um, and it is a little off the beaten path thing to do. But many, many times I get things that are very relevant, um, that we find out when we get there, be it names or dates or a certain color or whatever it is. A lot of times I get something that is very, very close to something that happened there. Um, and so I continue to do it. And somebody's like, "Well, you shouldn't do that. You're inviting spirits into your house." I'm like, "I'm not inviting anybody. I gave nobody the okay. I'm just thinking about the house or the location. I'm not asking questions. I'm not making any requests. I'm just meditating." Um, and I think that there are people that could probably do that without a spirit box and get answers like that, but it works for me. It's I've been telling people this, and more people have begun to try it, and there are a few that says yes, I get relevant things, and sometimes it could be pure coincidence. But for me to get that name and to get not my name was
Yeah.
just
You think with spirit boxes, getting anything. that's understandable out of the spirit box is impressive because they
Well,
scan so fast that I
I
mean,
get a lot from them.
we get quite a bit too, but you're not supposed to because it's scanning so fast. You should just get sounds, not words. And some locations we definitely get more words than other locations. But yeah, that's one thing we do tend to use quite often. We like the SB7. I get better responses from that than I do the 11. I do like the dual for the 11 where you can go one way on AM and the other way on FM, and I
Mhm.
love the features, but we get better results from the original 7.
Yep. Yeah, we use 7. I have the SB7. I have the S box, which I kind of like, um, because you can record what you're hearing. You can't
Mhm.
record what you're saying. Um, but I also just bought the Salmon Colby Spirit box off of Amazon. Number one, it was like 17.99, and I would run it right there with the SB7. It's basically an SB7 in different color wrapper.
Nice.
But yeah, so I just pulled that up. It was February 15th, 2025 at 9:08 a.m. and I used the SB7 from 9 a.m. to 9:10, and I got high Molly selected, which green room more work. Watch yourselves. Let's chat. Not late. Spirit controlling three. Only curious. Welcome years ago. Here waiting arrival. That's kind of weird. Lonely now. Watch me soon. Molly. Not my name. Protect. Random out of the question. Knock. Toolbox, the number 54. Get here, then you'll understand. Which now that get here, then you'll understand, it has a whole nother meaning. Red eyes, Molly. Really? No. Molly, understand, hot, heavy, hard. Molly, stop. And so she was literally telling me her name is not Molly, and her name was Holly. And when I said get here, then you'll understand, is I got there and I totally understood that her name was not Molly.
Yeah, I love spirits with an attitude.
Yeah, look, if we sat here the whole night and I called you Fred and you're like, no, my name's James, and I'm like, oh, thanks, Fred. At the end of the night, you're going to be like, that jerk, he called me Fred all night. You know, I think anybody would get ticked off with that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're right. It's like you can only correct somebody so many times before you're just like, okay, whatever.
yeah, I'm done. That's it. I'm done. I've had enough. You're an idiot. You're not listening to me. That's my take from. She's like, I tried to be nice and explain it to you. I'm just done. Well,
That's
James, tell everybody where they can find you on socials, and then tell us what your next gig's going. What are you guys
uh,
doing next?
well, you can find us on Facebook, Carolina Association of Paranormal Studies. That's pretty much our main platform at the moment. We do a little TikTok, a little YouTube. Um, we're starting to get into that a little bit more. But our next investigation, we're waiting on confirmation for some dates, but we're looking at a place called Odd Flora in Lexington. Oh, my wife just said TikTok and Instagram. Um, and we're looking at a couple more places in Lexington. We've got Odd Flora, which is a plant store. We've got the old Carolina Theater. We're waiting on dates for that. And then at the end of August, we're gonna take our trip and head out to Tennessee to go explore the old Harrium Hospital. So
Nice.
as of right now, that's what we've got. We've got a lot of other places that are kind of on hold right now and just waiting on some dates. We don't want to overlap any. So last year we were doing almost two a month last year, so we wanted to slow it down a little bit, and so we've taken a month off. We took all of April off to do some personal stuff, and so we're trying to slowly book everything for the rest of the year. We got some events coming up at the end of September for National Ghost Hunting Day, and then doing some October tours at the Trebek Clinic. So as we get into the end of the year, we'll start picking back up with events and public stuff. So it's going to be a busy year.
Sunday, we are headed to Pennhurst on the other side of the state. I think there's 4 or 5 groups going. So that should be fun. We've never been to Pennhurst yet. And so we wanted it booked this year because this was supposed to be the end of Pennhurst, right? They were going to rip it down and build a data center. Well, now the
Yeah.
data center isn't being built. And so it got at least a year reprieve. So we got lucky to be able to go this year and might go again next year. I'm not sure. It depends on how much fun it is, but we're really looking forward to Pennhurst on Sunday night.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous. That has been one of the top places. It's just it was so hard to get into, and then they shut down for what 2 years. They weren't taking anybody for a while.
Yeah.
So you guys being able to get in there right here at the end is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, now they're going to be open at least through 27, so you may still have that shot.
Nice. Nice. It's one of the most talked about next to like your big ones like Waverly and
Yeah.
Trans Allegheny. So it's up there with some of the most iconic locations.
Yeah.
So it definitely be worth at least a one time before
Yeah.
if they tear it down. I know that it's last I heard it was in pretty bad shape. They just can't keep up
Yeah.
with repairs.
I mean, it's really hard when uh, buildings that are those sizes need repair, and you're living off the paranormal money to keep it going because there's nothing cheap about owning a building that size.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so there's a guy that Adam that owns ISS and Madison Seminary, and he really does a good job that he is repairing both of these buildings, um, and it's just incredible what he's doing with them. And he keeps his rates very fair. They are fantastic places to go. So if you're ever in Ohio or Indiana, those are 2 places I highly recommend because this guy puts the money back into the buildings, and he does a lot to raise more money to keep repairs up. And they are just very big old buildings that just don't do well when there's no heat and there's no water and there's no electricity in most of it. But he does a fantastic job of keeping them going. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that because, man, I've been in some places that had the same damn windows broken for 5 years, and you're making big money from all these people coming because you're booked all the time and you're not putting a dime back into it. And those are the ones that I don't want to go to anymore. I
Yeah,
want to
no,
see you
I don't
care
blame
about
you.
the house and care about the spirits. I don't want to see you stuff your pockets.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing the math a couple years ago, and just off of private investigations, Waverly Hills was making over $1 million a year, and that's not including their daytime tours and Republics, and that was literally just one weekend a month. They were making $1 million, and talking to some of the people that work there, it's like $1 million don't go very far at all with building
No,
that size.
no, no. There's nothing cheap about it. Nothing. And also, if it's a historical building and you're repairing something, you've got to repair it with the same thing that it was originally repaired. I mean, originally made with. So if you're
Oh,
replacing windows, it's got to be the same style windows. You can't put a new window into it.
yeah.
So I mean, there's limitations and they make it hard. But if somebody really cares about it, they're gonna keep it going.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's the kind of place I want to support for sure.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
So anything else you want to throw it out there before we call this a wrap?
I think I'm good. We talked about a lot of different stuff tonight.
Yeah, I don't ever have a format. We talk about whatever, and that's the thing about my podcast is I personally want other people to meet other teams, and that's what I get out of this. Somehow, in 2 years, we have almost 7,400 followers on our page. We don't ask for followers. Alls I do is try to promote anybody that I meet. Hey, I like this person. They're good people. Give them a follow, or get them to come on my podcast and say, hey, you guys give these guys a follow and see what they're doing. And that's what I get out of this. And I want to build a community of respectable paranormal investigators. And I am kind of picky about who comes on. I tell everybody, if you want to come on, let me know. Well, then you come on and you tell me, yeah, I'm interested. First thing I do is I go to your socials and I look and I see, what are you posting? How do you react to people? What do you put out there um, in the world? And if it compares to my thought process, then absolutely, let's get them on here. And I want to share everybody's story. I want to share everybody's teams. I want all of my followers to be able to say, hey, I'm going to follow these guys because they got some good stuff. And that's what it's all about. I want this community to be the best that it can be. And I try to stay out of the drama and promote the people that are good people.
I agree with that 100%. We don't do drama. We live our life drama free, and I'm all about para unity. I try to support and follow everybody. And here, I think about a month ago, I followed one group, and it just started this chain reaction. I forgot what group it was, but it was like every day there was just a whole list of groups that is like, hey, if you haven't followed, follow these. And I started following everybody because I'm like you. I want to support everybody. I don't care if you're an investigator like us, or if you do networking where you just rent out locations and sell tickets, or if you just pay to go to places. Like, it doesn't matter. We're all in this field together for the same reason. Our methods
Yeah.
are different, but I definitely want to support every group. And me and my wife have been talking about collabing with some groups. We've had a couple of people, groups reach out, and I'm like you. I want to make sure that we mesh,
Yeah.
because you don't want to have two complete opposites in one investigation. Like, you're going to
Yeah.
butt heads, and it's just not going to go well. But
Yeah.
um, I definitely want to start working with other groups and start doing more events. We are actually talking about trying to start our own little like Parafest here in uh, in our area, and try to bring in some people that are local. Don't want to have anybody traveling too far, but if they want to, cool. We've been talking about doing a podcast and all that, so we're trying to be more involved with other groups than we have been. This is our goal for the next year is to start pushing the pair unity a little bit more.
So we've kind of moved on from para unity because everybody you talk to, oh, para unity's dead. Okay, believe what you want. So we've gone to para respect,
I
and
like
so
that.
basically, whoever you are, we're going to give you the respect, right? Until you prove that you don't deserve it, right? And believe it or not, there are only two teams that we used to follow that we no longer follow, and it's just because I don't agree with how they operate, and so I'm like, I'm not attaching myself to them, and the one will tell you, don't expect me to be a good person because I'm not a good person. Okay, cool, you do you, but I'm not attaching myself to you.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to say, hey,
Negativity.
you hang out with this guy. I don't hang out with this guy. Um, and I don't care what somebody else does, but my reputation is my reputation, and I choose not to follow you for that reason.
I understand that.
And I,
All it takes is just one one thing to happen with somebody else that you're associated with, and then it just yeah, a lot can go wrong with that. So I'm with you on that.
and I lied. It's actually three teams. It's not two teams.
Yeah.
I just thought of a third team. So yes, it's only three teams, and you know what? To each his own. You do you. I'm going to stay over and do me, and we don't have to do it together because we don't see things on the same plane. But that's all I want. I want a good community, and I don't think that's too much to ask for. Now, if you guys do this Paracon or whatever you're going to call it, let me know. I can't
Oh,
guarantee that
absolutely.
we've been there, but we travel, we go places. We were just in Sutton, West Virginia a month ago. Some people reached out and they're like, "Would you guys come and be a meet and greet at our Paracon?" And I'm like, "They don't even know us," but they invited us down. They gave us a hotel room to stay in for the weekend and treated us like we were kings and queens, and it was amazing.
Nice.
Um, and then this past weekend, we were at a place, the Evansburg Old Stone Jail, and they had the Creep It Real Fest there. And we bought a table. We went to vend, and I said, "Hey, I do my podcast. I'd like to do a podcast from there." And my vision was I would just walk around and talk to all the vendors, show their tables. Hey, what you got? What you doing here? Just try to get a little movement for all of them on social medias. And the lady that run it is like, yeah, you can do a podcast. And then here she sends me this list, and it starts at 11:45, and every 15 minutes, I'm interviewing every one of her guest speakers, and it was amazing.
Nice.
It was absolutely amazing. And today I sat down, and it was like one or two full length videos all day long, and I started chopping them apart, and everybody gets their own segment, and I'm posting them now. But it was a blast, and we really had a lot of fun. And I've had people say to me, "You should do that at every Paracon you go to. We really enjoy this." And it was huge for me because I had no expectations of doing something like this, but I got to meet some really cool freaking people. One of the people I met is the guy's name is James Stokes. He's an actor, and he plays Jason Voorhees in the movies.
Oh,
So he's one of the people I met. Um, Santiago Cirillo, who is not only a veteran, but he's very big into mental health, and he supports everybody. He raises money for mental health. And I got to interview with him, and that guy, the two of us sat there and bawled on the podcast. It was just amazing. I met a couple of mediums that were just out of this world. The Blue Booty, I got to interview her. She was amazing. Um, so many people. I mean, it was just insane. the people I got to meet and interview, and it was really cool. And like I said, I'm posting them now, so they're on my wall for the other side of normal. Um, this other lady's name is just escape. Oh no, Patty Negri. Okay, uh, she's a psychic medium. She has been on Ghost Adventures for the last 11 years. She's on there 2 or 3 times a year. She's a very, very famous psychic medium. She lived in Hollywood for a while. She's a really, really big deal and just the sweetest human being you've ever met. I had the pleasure of interviewing her. It was amazing that they did this for me just because I'm like, hey, I want to do a podcast from there and talk about the vendors. And they're like, oh no, you're gonna interview all the stars. And I was like, that's really cool. That is really cool. So that said, if you want us to come to yours, we'll come and we're trying to get out of the vending. Everybody sells the same stuff, and but we'll come do a podcast, hang out, whatever it is you want us to do. We'll look at coming. If we can work it out, we'll be there. We love to travel around, so just keep us posted. Oh, did I lose you?
I think
Ruh-roh.
you froze.
Oh no, I froze. I'm frozen. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, with that, we're going to give it an end. Um, Sorry you can't hear me, James, but thank you so much, James, and thank your lovely wife Jen for being on and supporting you and giving you some comments and props in the side. And hopefully we can do it again. If you ever want to be on again, let me know. You'll have to watch just to hear what I'm saying, but I'll send you an email anyway. For those of you who stayed on and watched, I greatly appreciate you watching. I didn't have a lot of questions in the old question box tonight, but I appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with us. And Jen, make sure just tell him what I said. I don't know why he can't hear me, but um, thank you for supporting
Okay,
him.
sorry.
And
You were
oh, you're
cutting in
back.
and out.
All
Sorry
right.
about that.
Well, I was just saying that I was going to call this a night, and I thanked your lovely wife for being on to support you and throwing some information your way. I appreciate you coming on. If you want to come on again at another point, definitely let me know. But let's keep in contact for sure.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
hope you guys have a great night. And we'll see you on the other side of normal.
You're not alone. Midnight signal breaking through the noise. Shadows got a voice. You don't got a choice. We're diving past the edge of what you thought was normal, where the silence screams, welcome to the portal. Step inside, yeah, you cross that line. This is where the strange comes alive. The other side of a normal